if you're only blaming the refs for the Eagles' first loss of the season last night against the Washington Commanders, I don't know what to tell you, because yes, the refs were bad. Yes, there were plenty of missed calls on the BG one and the face mask, but the defense as a whole, some of the play calling by Jonathan Gannon, a lot to get into today. Philadelphia, we're not going to panic yet, but that first loss was an ugly one. Let's break it down today on the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. The first non-victory Monday of the entire NFL season. There's a lot of blame to go ahead and go around. I'm going to try to be the level-headed, therapist for today. I don't know what I want to call myself, but we need to actually break down this 32-21 loss by the Philadelphia Eagles, see how much of a panic level we want to go ahead and get to, and where do you actually put the blame? Because it was ugly. It wasn't pretty. And there's a lot of things that you look at and you go, wow, they need to fix this. They need to fix that in order to actually not only maintain the number one seed, maintain the number one spot in the NFC East, and actually maintain as one of the favorites right now in the NFC. So let's go ahead and jump right into the overall thoughts on this. We'll get from Nick Sirianni. We're going to hear from Brandon Graham. We're going to hear from A.J. Brown. Your first loss of the year. Now, they were going to lose. Eventually, they were. All this talk of 17-0 was always ridiculous because the pressure was too high. This football team is not invincible. They have some flaws, especially along the defensive line, and the fact they're able to get it out of the way, to me, is honestly good news for the Eagles. You never want to lose, but now they can stop worrying about going undefeated and focus more about actually winning enough games to be the one seed and then winning enough games in the playoffs. The only time it matters when you're undefeated is in the postseason. Right now, it doesn't, right? In Philadelphia, for all intents and purposes of how bad last night was, they are still only one loss. The only team with one loss right now in the NFL besides the Minnesota Vikings, who they beat just a couple of weeks ago. Okay, couple of thoughts quickly here on the overall game, and then we'll get into what really went wrong here. A couple of big things. Philadelphia can't stop the run. And we're going to dive more into this a little bit later on the show. This is the most pressing concern right now for the Philadelphia Eagles as a whole. They cannot stop the run. You saw it last week against the Houston Texans, and you saw it this week against the Washington Commanders. 152 yards on 49 carries. There was no answer. I mean, there was literally no answer for the rushing attack of, yes, a decent rushing team with the Washington Commanders, but it's not a great rushing football team, right? You're not playing the number one rushing team in the National Football League. Same goes for the Texans on Thursday night just a couple of days ago. Philadelphia's D-line is not getting any sort of help anytime soon. They're not getting Jordan Davis back for another couple of weeks. They're going to have to start calling games and scheming to stop the run instead of this whole idea of we're just going to hope our front four actually get stops because for whatever reason they were completely unable to go ahead and do so. Miles Sanders got going late in this football game, but they were unable to really give him the football at all in those first couple of drives because they scored so darn quickly. This felt like an offensive game plan more tied to the first 6 weeks of the year in 2021 where they threw the football way more than run, and I think if they would have been a little more balanced early on, they might have been able to eat some of the clock out and not kept their defense on the football field for as long as they were able to. But overall, the offense was fine. I thought the offense did a very good job. You think those 2 fumbles take them off of the board, and Philadelphia probably wins that football game, especially the Quez Watkins fumble. But overall, this was a defensive issue, and really the main problem that I have with Philadelphia going forward is the fact that they are unable to get any stops defensively. And I think right now, you have to seriously consider Jonathan Gannon's play calling as a big factor in Philadelphia losing. Listen, this whole idea of firing Jonathan Gannon is the dumbest thing in the entire world. They're not going to fire Jonathan Gannon mid-season. Now, end of the year, they might go ahead and part ways with him and bring in a new defensive coordinator. His scheme works when you have a lead. The problem that Jonathan Gannon has right now in the National Football League is that he is a my way or the highway, no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is, we are going to play shell defense, we are not going to go ahead and blitz, and we are going to get stops with our front four. Now, when you have a lead, teams have to pass, and when you have to pass against Jonathan Gannon's defense, Philadelphia is going to tee off rushing the passer, and those cornerbacks and secondary players are going to get a ton of interceptions, as we saw them do the first 8 weeks. But when you are behind, and teams can run the football, they are going to pound it down your throat unless you make some adjustments. And I think Jonathan Gannon needs to take a good long look in the mirror after what happened last night and go, you know what? Maybe if we're in a tight football game, or maybe if we're being gashed in the run, why don't we just go ahead and maybe do some run blitzes? Or why don't we go ahead and load the box? You did not see this happen last night until it was too late. The last couple of drives, they actually did it. You saw, single high safety, press man, a lot more bodies in the box, and they got a couple of stops and gave the offense a couple of chances to maybe go down and score and win the game. He's got to be a little more adaptable earlier on, the way you don't put yourself in these situations. I get it's his play calling scheme, and when you have a lead, it works great. but they're not going to have a lead in every single game this year, and so maybe just be a little flexible. Get some Gumby in there, right? Come on, be a little more flexible, Jonathan Gannon. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, he's not the only issue, though. Let's be very, very real about what the main issue is right now in Philadelphia. The main issue right now in Philadelphia is the front four completely getting obliterated in terms of rushing, but also getting after the quarterback. Did you see what happened when Josh Sweat went out of that football game? He got that stinger whenever the tight end kind of went down low at his knees. Robert Quinn is useless. Now, I like the Robert Quinn signing. You can go back and watch my show on the Robert Quinn signing. I said, you get the Chris Long role. He can take over for BG a little bit from a defensive line perspective. He's been utterly useless. I mean, Robert Quinn has done absolutely nothing so far this year. He looks 100 years old. And the same can go for Brandon Graham. I mean, honestly, I love BG. BG is an Eagle through and through, and I still think he has some gas left in the tank. But from an every down snap perspective, he's not getting any pressure, right? The only player right now getting pressure is Javon Hargrave. That's it. And maybe Josh Sweat. You throw him in there as well whenever he's healthy. The rest of these guys are doing nothing from a pass rush perspective, and it's killing Philadelphia. They completely were unable to get to Taylor Heinicke except for a couple of times there, and most of that was all Javon Hargrave coming up the middle. Now, the good news is that you're only 8-1. And the great news is this is going to refocus the football team. And so while I am a glass half full kind of guy, I'm upset today. You have to look at the bright side of Nick Sirianni via Bleeding Green Nation in the postgame press conference. I think summed this all up very, very well. When asked about what happened last night, he said, quote, "We started 8-0 together, we lost this game together, and we'll move together." And then when asked, officially what went down, quote, "Shoot, that's pretty simple. 3 turnovers lost us the game. Time of possession loses you the game. We lost it together. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching, we lost it together. That's what lost us the game." And then on the officiating, and let's get into that. First, we'll hear from Sirianni. I'll give you my take. Quote, "I know he made the one at the end of the first half. I don't think that was easy for him." Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was on the kicking here. In terms of officiating is what I just read a little bit earlier. But it's pretty simple. The turnovers lost in the football game versus the actual officiating. We can get mad at officials all we want. And sure, there were plenty of calls last night that should have gone Philadelphia's way. You don't have a Dallas Goedert fumble, if not for the face mask before it, right? Because that would have been nullified, and Philadelphia might have been able to go down and score on that drive. But the Brandon Graham hit was illegal. As much as I want to say that, Heinicke flopped a lot and BG didn't have enough time to pull up and go ahead and stop, he still hit him after he was kneed down. And I know the whistle had him blow, but you got to be smarter than that. There's no need to hit Taylor Heinicke when he's sitting there in the kneeling formation. And so, again, if you're blaming officials today as the reason why the Eagles lost last night, you didn't watch the game. And I hate to say it because I love you guys, and I know you guys appreciate this show. You have got to not turn the football over. You have got to be better on third down. Philadelphia was not good on third down last night, and you've got to be able to stop the run. The running game has been killing Philadelphia the past couple of weeks, and it is way bigger of a concern than any sort of idea that, the penalty, the refs screwed us out of that game. It's just ridiculous. It's not the reason why Philadelphia lost that game. Okay, quickly here, I do want to go ahead and announce who has won the A.J. Brown jersey. As you guys, of course, know, we were doing a little thing where if you signed up using my PointsBet, DraftKings, or Caesars link and placed a bet, sent me an email confirming that you placed that bet, then you could be entered to go ahead and get my one A.J. Brown jersey. So Jason G has been selected, and he will be getting the A.J. Brown jersey. I'm going to go ahead and send that out to him after I get his information. So Jason, look for an email from the Thomas Mott Show as you have got the A.J. Brown jersey. Congratulations. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you can send a picture and I'll put it up on the show. So Jason G is the winner. And of course, you guys want to jump in on any sort of sports betting. We got PointsBet, DraftKings, Caesars. All links are down below in the description box. Now, speaking of A.J. Brown, I think he really nailed this on the head in terms of, what last night was for Philadelphia. When asked, quote, "I know guys got long faces, but me personally, of course I want to win. But now all that 17-0 bleep is over with. Now we're going to wake up. How are you going to respond to that? This is a game that we all love to play, and sometimes you get hit in the mouth. How do you respond? I hope we get up and start fighting back, and I feel like we will. And I think that they will, and I do feel like Philadelphia is going to be just fine going forward. Now, it is worth mentioning, the next couple of weeks, you are playing very good running football teams. I know Jeff Saturday is the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. You know what happened when Jeff Saturday was coaching his first game last week? Jonathan Taylor had like a $150 and a rushing touchdown, and the Colts won a football game. It was the Raiders, but still, you got to deal with Jonathan Taylor next week on the road. Then you deal with Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones Jones. Aaron Jones was fantastic in that win against the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers only threw the football 20 times. They pounded the rock against Dallas. Then you play Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. Then you play Saquon Barkley. I mean, seriously, this Colts game is very serious. It's a very serious matchup for Philadelphia because if you lose that game, you're on a 4-game stretch here where you go 2-4, or sorry, 2-4, or 2-2, I should say, 2 out of the 4, and you could go from the 1 seed down to the 3 seed. Philadelphia could easily be in a lot more trouble than people realize if they don't figure things out. So the hope is that the run defense figures things out, and they are going to be good to go and be just fine. Look at the NFC standings right now. Minnesota's win in overtime, as ridiculous as it was against the Buffalo Bills, it keeps them right there. And even though the rest of the team, in terms of wins and losses, are either in our division or you got Seattle sitting there at 6-4, this is a 2-pony race, making a 3-pony race with the Giants for the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed is going to be crucial this year. Now, can Philadelphia be the 2 seed and win a wild card game and then go on the road? Yes, 100%. And they would probably host 2 playoff games because you'd have a playoff game in the wild card round and a playoff game in the divisional round, but not having to play that first week in the postseason and getting that extra, week of rest is massive. It's absolutely crucial, and Philadelphia's got to go ahead and figure things out to make sure that they continue to get back on track, win more football games, and lock up that number 1 seed because this cannot be a one-and-done year. This is a one-and-done year. There are going to be a lot of question marks, not only from the defensive coordinator position, the head coaching position, the offensive coordinator position, the quarterback spot, the defensive end spot. It's going to be a very bad offseason if they are one and done. And so winning more football games is obviously a way to go ahead and mitigate that. Let's just wrap up this up and give you a full, final breakdown of where we are. The refs did not screw Philadelphia last night out of a win. Had Philadelphia not turned the football over 3 times, they would have won that football game. Had Philadelphia not had poor defensive line play, as they have had the past couple of weeks, they would have won that football game. And had there not been, a couple of boneheaded coaching decisions by Jonathan Gannon on crucial third down situations, they would have won that football game. And so the hope now, and I'm not in the locker room, right? I'm in my home studio, so I have no idea what they're going through this morning. The hope is there is a gut check. The hope is that there is leaders on this football team, both on the offense, defense, and special teams, who are looking themselves in the mirror, who are getting up in their position meetings and saying, hey guys, we have to be better. Defensive line has got to be better. Defensive play calling has got to be better. Offensive play calling, you've got to run the football more, right? Turnovers, it cannot happen. And if they're able to use this win as motivation and fuel to reset themselves and go on another run here, Philadelphia is going to be just fine. And so we can panic and we can get upset. We'll probably talk more about that here on the show over the next couple of days here. But right now, Philadelphia's got to get ready for Matt Ryan and more specifically Jonathan Taylor on Sunday in order to get back into the win column to make sure that this one loss does not spiral into a 2-game loss, or a 2-game losing streak, a 3-game losing streak, or worse, a 4-game losing streak, and then your number 1 seed starts to look a lot more like, a number 2, 3, 4, or even losing the division. So a lot going on. Be sure to subscribe and let me know what you guys think in terms of the biggest problem with the Philadelphia Eagles after that loss last night. We're going to be fine, but we're going to make sure you guys are up to date regarding Philadelphia and the NFL, as we always do here on the Thomas Mott Show. Again, we're tough on a Monday, right? We gotta be hard on people on a Monday. A lot of accountability, but I'm here for you, and we're gonna hopefully have a great week of shows. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Thomas Mott, this has been Thomas Mott Show.